Hey everyone, Margarita here. I'm going to film this episode today on being one of the 144,000 chosen ones, otherwise known as being an earth angel, and what all comes with that title and that position in the world, because there's literally only 144,000 of them. Now, along the way, throughout my life, I'd always known I was being chased by the devil, always dealing with catastrophic life event after catastrophic life event, back to back to back, all piggybacking off each other, always seeming to be dealing with very odd circumstances that nobody else in the world had ever been dealing with but me. Even when I tried to explain it to others, even to this day, it goes right over their head. They can't even comprehend not even 1% of where I'm coming from with all of this, or even a small portion of this. Initially, no, I did not know what the title was or what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't fully understand it. But I did know my circumstances were abnormal from a very young age. Around age 4 to 5 years old, I began to figure out something was very abnormal about everything I was dealing with. And then it only grew from there. I went on feeling that way, not really understanding the full scope or the full picture of everything until shortly after my injury occurred, after I died and came back the first time. So that's the second near-death experience video. You can go ahead and view that. It's already up. After that incident, now this was not right away because I could not string sentences together. I was living in an extreme state of physical distress, extreme pain and suffering, and I stayed that way for years. And my brain had several inches of space between my brain and my skull, and I was in such an extreme state of suffocation that my brain felt like it was shriveled up. Like most people's brain is full in their skull, and mine was loose like this, inches away, wobbling around as every step I took. Now, after that happened, it was not right away. It maybe took about a year. Once this went on for some time and I stayed that way, just not really knowing if I'm going to live or not, that's when I started to Google how could someone experience, I don't even know what I Googled, how could somebody be experiencing so many catastrophic events in their life continuously without relief from any of it and not be allowed to build their life, is kind of what I was trying to Google, but I have no idea what words I actually used. I eventually came across the 144,000 chosen ones. I eventually got led to videos of other chosen ones. And because I received spiritual messages due to my injuries and what has all happened to me, I've been receiving these injuries or these messages since my first injury, since giving birth while suffering from the carbon monoxide poisoning. And then once the near-death experience number 2 video, after all of that happened, it was very extreme, and I was receiving the messages like very, very strongly. And I followed them every time, and they were meant for me to follow. So that played a role in helping me find the videos that I was meant to find and the others who were talking about this type of stuff. I had no clue what any of this was. I went all the way through my 20s. As an adult, I became an adult at a very young age. I was a teenager and I was mentally an adult by age 15 for sure. And I bought my first home at 18 and had my first baby at 18 and my second at 21, and I bought my second home at 23. So I was very advanced from a very young age, and even all through my 20s, even though I was a full-blown adult mentally, emotionally, financially, and I was ahead of other people, way ahead of other people, there was something I always felt was missing all throughout my 20s. Even once I grew further and things became, I started building and building and building, and I was pretty far ahead. I was about to make some really big moves, until my mother had destroyed all that and ripped the rug out from under me. Then I had to restart all over again at age 29. But all during my 20s, I kept having this feeling that something was missing. I'm missing something. There's just something that I'm missing. There's more to this. I couldn't figure out what it was. I couldn't remember certain things. And I wasn't even aware I was missing memories until the injuries occurred. That's when the flashback started after I gave birth while suffering from the carbon monoxide poisoning. So that's the first near-death experience video. That one's already up as well. All 3 are up. So you want to view them in order if you're viewing them. Now, I just had this thought all along, something's missing, something's off. I didn't know what it was. Couldn't quite put my finger on it. I would be driving around by myself, you know, talking to the universe, talking to God and saying, I don't know what it is I'm missing. Show me what it is I'm missing. Like there's something more to all of this. And I just couldn't figure it out. And it all started to come about, you know, within that first 12-month period, I'd say, after the second near-death experience situation happened. So that was probably all of 2018. By the end of 2018, I was really starting to put it together. And then all throughout 2019, very heavily putting it together. But I'd say the first half of 2019. But by the end of 2019, I had some very clear answers. So around that time is when I found the other chosen ones. I found the videos. I started listening to what they were talking about because I knew what I was experiencing was not normal. And the amount of catastrophic events I've suffered from without help from anyone and being forced to rebuild and constantly being wiped out and all these crimes happening against me and no one helping and people participating, it just didn't add up. Something was not right with all of this. And the amount of fires that I've walked through and came out looking like nothing even happened to me. I would say well over 100 for sure. Definitely well over 100 fires that I've definitely walked through, maybe even a couple, 200 to 300 possibly. Very extreme circumstances that others would never experience in a lifetime. And so the more that this happened, the more extreme the situation became overall, and the longer my injury went on in that extreme manner, because it stayed extreme for 3 years, the longer it stayed that way, the further I was questioning everything and digging further and further into everything. And eventually I did get every single answer, eventually, because where I am today, all these years later, I have a full, way bigger picture view of the entire world as a whole, the entire universe as a whole. Most people's view of everything and how life works and how the world operates, it's nowhere near the size of my view. So I have a very big picture overall view and a lot of answers the rest of the world needs. Now, what I eventually came to discover is I had gone through all of these circumstances, all these crazy situations, and a lot of these are crimes, and most people would receive compensation through lawsuits on a lot of these. I haven't received a penny from anybody for any of the amount of damage or financial damage or physical damage or mental and emotional pain and suffering. Anything I've been through, I haven't gotten a penny from anybody. I 100% dug my way out of every single situation alone. So that's another abnormal thing. The different things I've experienced, normally people get some type of monetary compensation, and that's never happened for me either. And then to still be in life where I am after everything I've been through is even more abnormal. Now, I am here to deliver quite a bit of information to the rest of the world because I have answers that the general public doesn't have. Even people who've gone to school for, let's say they went to college for 20 years for something really big. I have more answers than them because it's actually all very simple. You're all stuck in the matrix as part of the problem. It's all a giant cycle, and there's all these systems where you're spinning in circles. And what I've done is, because of my view and my level of knowledge and life experience, I've jumped straight over it and jumped straight to that and avoided all the situations that the rest of the general public deals with, because I understand things to a greater degree. So I have all these answers for all the people in the general public. The problem is I have to deal with the crimes and the large agencies and people involved in the crimes against me long term, and get all that situated and that gone public before I can address everything I came here to do and everything I came here to situate, because I do work directly for God himself. I did start to figure that out. It was probably in 2019 when I really started figuring that out, that's what I agreed to do. And I do remember, so if you watch the near-death experience #2 video, I do remember prior to me losing consciousness and dying, when my brain was exploding internally, I made a deal with God, and the last thing I remember saying is, I'll do anything to stay here with my son. He was only 22 months old. And I knew he wasn't going to survive without me at that time. So When I made that deal, that was the last thing I remember before falling out. I did die for 4 hours in my bed and came back. So you benefit from watching the 3 videos. Because now I've died twice and came back without medical intervention. And there's a reason for all of this. It's because of the work that I came here to do. Overall, I am here to take down large corrupt organizations and individuals who work for them, and just individuals in general who have participated in some serious matters in general. I'm not just saying with me. Yes, with me alone and in general. And these people need to be dealt with on a spiritual level. And there's others who need justice for what these people have done, and I'm here to bring justice overall. So some of this has already started to play out. There's a pattern here. There's about 10 individuals so far from, years ago, way before I was ever injured, who have crossed paths with me, and the end result is they go to prison. So this has already started to happen with the more recent events. Now, some of these are already public. Everybody who participated at the Oxford Center and what I went through there, because what I went through was something different than what everybody else went through. I have some videos up under that section on my channel about the Oxford Center. I will release some more videos. But the 2 women that I dealt with are Tammy Peterson and Casey Diskin. Casey Diskin has been in prison for about a year now, I believe. She was charged back in 2021. And then the owner, Tammy Peterson, she's been in prison since the explosion. Or I believe she's just being held on bond. I don't believe there's been a sentencing yet. But she's never going to walk free. Neither one of them are. And I am working with officials on the matter that only pertain to me. But overall, what they did to a lot of people overall was very extreme. And those people need justice, and I'm here to serve that justice, which is why what happened to me, and I didn't understand it at the time because I was barely alive when I found the place. Now, don't get me wrong, if I had not found the place when I did, my son and I weren't going to live. I just happened to be the right one to try and the right one to be able to play the game. Because most people wouldn't have been able to pull off what I did. 99% of the population would not have been able to pull off what I did regarding that situation. I will get more into that in the future. I'm just saying that some of this and what I'm talking about has already been made public. These people are already locked up. There are a total of 5 individuals from that facility facing prison time. One's already in prison, and she's going to be facing more prison time. So there is, that's just some of the proof right there. There is additionally other individuals prior to that I've crossed paths with, and that was the end result. And it's because of the bad karma they accumulate walking through life, doing the things they do to other people, thinking they can get away with it, or they're ignorant, and then they cause problems by being ignorant, or it could just be intentional all around and ignorance. But those people, the end result, they wind up in prison. So yes, I have to situate several situations before I can even get to me delivering everything else I have to talk about on all these different subjects, because I have a wide variety of subjects and knowledge on different things that the rest of the world does not, because they were not forced to live their life in the manner in which I was. So that's why I came to that's how I came to the conclusion, looking into this. How could this be? How could that be? What I was experiencing was so far from normal, and the people around me weren't even recognizing it, nor were they helping the situation. They were only making matters worse, and what I was dealing with was just so extravagant, I couldn't find any answers. And eventually I got led to basically 100% answers, and with my own life experiences, put it together with what these people were talking about, I was able to put it together and figure out what I was supposed to be doing, why this all has happened to me, and what's going to happen going forward. So I've been putting it together for about 6-7 years now, heavily. But no, I did not 100% know all along. I just knew something was missing all prior to my injuries, prior to me being 32-ish. I just knew something was missing, and there's something I couldn't figure out what exactly that was. And then I always had this feeling that I was going to die before I turned 30 for some reason. Now the near-death experience video, the video number 2, where I did die and come back, that is, I was 34 when that happened. So my feeling was correct all along. I did die, except for I came back. And I'll get more into that because this has to be delivered to the general public in steps because of the extreme degree of how things actually work in the world and what's actually going on here. People aren't ready to receive all of the information that I have and what's actually going on. So there's a lot more to that. And I'll get more into that in the future in its own videos. But yes, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to make huge changes in the world, huge changes to the planet, and or save the world and the planet, because the amount of information I have is going to change the trajectory of humanity and the planet. And without people like me on the planet making these changes, because it's not just me, there's numerous, obviously 144,000 of us, we're spread out all over the place. Each person has a different mission. So when we all work together separately, it's going to bring everything together as a whole and show the world the bigger picture of what's actually been going on and change everything as a whole. It's not just me working alone. There's 143,999 more people just like me, but maybe slightly different missions, or they're in a different department, and they're working as well. So that's what I'm here to do. That's what's been going on. It's a very big deal, and a lot of people, the general public, is not ready to receive a lot of this information that I have. They're not going to want to believe what I have to talk about and what's going on, what's been going on. Now, there's a handful of people who consider themselves woke. Now, yes, what those people are thinking and their perception, it probably is correct, but there's so much more to it. They're not even aware of it. They just consider themselves woke. But there's a lot more going on than what meets the eye, just to those people alone. And when you're talking to the general public who have not even 1% woke, it's going to be a lot harder to deliver the messages and the information and get through to people on the level they need to be gotten through to. Because I'm basically going to blow the entire world apart with all the fraudulent systems and how it's structured. Most people aren't going to want to believe what I have to say, but once it's all out there and said, it's not going to be questionable. The pieces are all going to click right together. It's not going to be questionable. And my life experience speaks for itself, because my life experience isn't wrong. You can't say I didn't experience this, or that's not what happened, because so-and-so went to college for 25 years. So because they said so, that's not what happened to me. Not how things work. That's all an illusion. It's all a bunch of brainwashing and programming long term. If you spend too much time in college, pretty much you're pretty much brainwashed to a pretty good degree. It's going to be harder to wake those who spent too much time in college. Now, don't get me wrong, some college is good, but if you spend too much time there, you're not going to understand reality. You're going to be so far from reality that what you're teaching and what you're into, it doesn't matter the subject. It depends on what it is you're doing, but most of those, it's going to drive things in the opposite direction of where it needs to go over the course of humanity and the planet going forward, and that's what that's meant to do. It's meant to do that. The system is built for that. Now, I'm here to blow apart every one of those systems, because I'm going to. It's just going to take me some time. I'm going to have to get through everything else I have to talk about first. And once that's done, I'll go back and I'll start with all these different subjects, because my channel is definitely going to have, now that I'm getting into this, it's probably going to be 1,000 videos alone just on the situations I've personally dealt with, probably more than that. And then another 1,000 plus on all these other situations and subjects. So that's where I'm going to be taking things. It's just going to take me some time, because it's a lot of work to get situated what I have going on in my own life, and all the crimes I deal with firsthand, and the fallout of all of those ongoing crimes for decades has led me to the position I'm in, having to pick up all the pieces of many sets of fallout. So I'm just living in extreme chaos, have been for some years, and the only way to get it situated is to piece each little piece back together, get it all situated, and try to build forward from there. There is no going back and starting over for me in the position I'm in and what has happened to me. That's not even an option, or I'm still not going to survive. So once I get it all situated, I will go back. I will start talking about all these different subjects. And there is a lot of very big people out here who don't want me talking about any of it. And I'm aware of that. And I'm not going to shut up, and I just don't care, because I already walk a fine line between life and death. So that's the reason I just don't care. But that's my job. That's what I came here to do. That's the deal I made to keep my physical body on this earth. So yeah, it just took me some time to fully wake up to what exactly I came here to do. Even though I was doing things correctly all along, and I just couldn't understand the amount of, tragic experiences I was accumulating on my plate over the course of time. It just did not add up. But it makes sense now. All of that stuff happened to me for a reason. It's going to change many, many, many lives. Millions, if not billions of lives. So, yeah. I'll be back with more. I just want to talk a little bit more about the 144,000 chosen ones. I know some people don't want to believe that that's real, or they think it's a joke. Or if somebody says they're an earth angel, it's a joke. It's not. And those people who mock earth angels and the chosen ones, generally something ends up happening to them down the line after they do something like that, because it's similar to mocking God. So yeah, I'll be back with more. Just had to get that message out there real quick. Thanks. Bye.